Hi, and welcome to H3 TV, where we meet you every Wednesday to say good morning, to say hello, to help spread hope, health, and happiness, which ultimately leads to healing. And I feel like sometimes our world just needs healing, let alone individually. We all need some healing in one area or another of our life. And so we're here to share ideas on how do we stay hopeful. Well, for me, I say we look back to look forward. How do we stay healthy? Well, we assess to address 7 areas of our life so that we can move forward on being healthy one area at a time. And how do we find happiness? Well, we look for it. And if we can't find it, we create it. Whether it's laughing at ourselves, laughing at each other, or going to a comedy show to provoke humor inside of our lives. When life feels stressful, the two best things to do is laugh and serve another. Today, I have the pleasure of having Isabella with me. So please help me welcome her to the stage. Hey, Isabella.
Hey Annie, thanks for having me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I love that you're an orange, the color of happiness. We're focused on
Yes,
being happy. Yours is kind of a coral, so you're like a cross between pink and orange, which is friendly and happy. So I love that.
nice. I
So
like
tell
to
us a
think
little,
of it as peach.
peach, very
Peachy
cute.
orange.
Georgia peach, I like it.
Yeah.
So Isabella, tell us a little bit about who are you, what do you do, and what do you care about?
I'm Isabella Rusike, and I have my own company, Bella Global Group, and I do meetings and events. So I contract out with corporate companies, with individuals, and I plan different events and meetings. And at the moment, I am on a long term contract, which I am enjoying thoroughly. So I get to work from home and I also get to travel, which is one of my favorite things to do in the whole wide world.
The best of both, home and
Yes,
travel, right? I love it.
exactly.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah.
Awesome. So when we're thinking about being hopeful, healthy, and happy, I asked you to be on here because I wanted you to share what do you do? What are some of your 3 to 5 things that you do to take care of yourself so that you can travel and keep yourself healthy, so that you can love your work, stay positive? So, what are some things you do? Maybe 3 to 5 things to either stay hopeful, healthy, happy, or all of the above.
Okay. Hopeful, healthy, and happy. Well, I'm usually quite a happy go lucky person, and I just embrace life and life to the fullest. And I look at every opportunity as an opportunity to learn and to grow. And staying healthy, I try and be active where possible, which is hard, but we try. So usually I try and make time during my day to go out and connect with nature, either going for a walk in the park or going for swimming. I love live music. So whenever there's a live show in town, I try and make time to go and attend one of those shows or a comedy show. Everybody loves a good laugh. Everybody loves a good laugh. So I find that laughter, eating healthy, and exercise in moderation, they keep you going. And especially when you're traveling a lot and drinking lots of water and just having a positive outlook and not to let the little things stress you, like you get to the airport and the TSA line is so long. It's like, yay, people are traveling again.
Yes.
Got out of this instead of like, oh my gosh, look at this line kind of thing. It's like, yay, travel is back. Let's do this. And then you just roll with the punches and you start talking to people and people start gravitating towards you because you just have that mindset. You just make up your mind that it's going to be a good day and you go with it.
I love that about you. I think that's very true. You are a happy-go-lucky person and you project that energy into the world and people are drawn to that. But it's also, which I think is so important, you said it's perspective, right? Like
Correct.
when we travel enough, for most of us that travel, we just look for the good stuff. Like I meet amazing people. I don't, if a flight's delayed, I always think, well, at least we're safe. We're not
Right.
getting on a flight that's not safe. People are back. People are excited again. We're in
Right.
such a better place. So I love its perspective a lot. Like you talked about how you look at it, how you show up for every day, and that you
Mhm.
take care of yourself so that you can show up that optimistic. So, do you think that hope and happiness come by chance, by circumstance, or by choice?
I believe it's by choice.
Mm.
A mixture of choice and circumstances. So it is how you react to a situation. So you can choose to be happy or you choose to be negative in a situation. So I always choose to be hopeful because at the end of the day, I believe people are good and they have good intentions. And when somebody lashes out, there's always something going on behind the scenes. So I'm usually very hopeful, and I just go out and hope to have a pleasant day or make somebody else smile along the way.
I love that. That it's your choice, but circumstances do affect us. And I think,
They
I
do.
always think it's by choice, but I think, you know, sometimes that choice is hard when life is challenging or hard, or we're in the midst of a relationship or a career shift or a health shift. It can be really challenging. But if we choose to look for the good, there's always good. And I love that you said, because I don't think everyone agrees with us, Isabella, but I
No,
think without a doubt, people are good. I think
they
most
are.
people are good. And when they're not, they have a story that's being untold and they're acting out in pain and wounding and lostness. But happy people, healthy people want to be kind, want to be good in the world. So I
Mhm.
really like that. Um, what do you think the difference between being hopeful and being optimistic is?
Wow, they kind of go hand in hand, I think.
Okay.
If you're hopeful, you go out with the expectation of something pleasant that's going to happen to you. And being optimistic, you're always looking for the good in every situation. Instead of focusing on the negative, you look at a situation and you'll be like, well, what can I learn from this? Or how can I change the way I'm looking at this so that I look at it from a positive angle?
Yeah, I
Mm,
love that. I always listen to people's stories and I think, do they start with what's been hard in their life or what's been wonderful? Do they
yeah,
start with where they failed or what they learned? Because it is, and you can put two people with the exact same situation and how they show up can be
right.
totally different. So I
Mhm.
love, I love the people that say to me, it's been a bumpy ride, but
But
let me tell you what I've learned. Let me tell you what I've given back because I know what
mhm.
it's like to not, or whatever the case may be. So I think that's really important. How about happiness and joy? Is there a difference there for you? Are they the same thing or is there a difference?
They're the same thing. You cannot be joyful unless you are happy. You cannot be grateful unless you are happy. So I think they go hand in hand, happiness and joyful. You have to be happy to be joyful. You have to be joyful to be happy. And you basically appreciating what God has given you in your life or what is going on around you and you embracing it. So I think they go hand in hand.
Nice.
Mhm.
I always think of joy as inside job. Like joy comes from within. Like you, what you just said, like God, what God has given you. And so for me, I always think I am just a joyful person inside. I'm not always happy, but I'm
No,
always joyful. I'm always inside of me. There's always joy. It can be pushed down, it can be risen up, but it's there. But happiness for me at least is circumstantial. Like,
mhm.
oh, I had a good day, a bad day. So I love that you're saying they're hand in hand because I think you have to have part
Both.
to have the other part, right? Like you have to
Correct.
keep going. How about even though we're optimistic people and even though we believe in good, sometimes things slip into our lives that steal that joy, that steal that happiness, that hopefulness, and even our health. What
You're
are
right.
some things that steal that in your life? What is something that sometimes whispers or jumps into your life and it steals all of that joy that you're feeling?
Most of the times when I reflect back and I look back, it's that little inner voice of doubt that says, you cannot do this, or why are you doing this? And you have to rise above that. Like, why not? Why can't I do this? Why not me? If I'm not going to do it, who's going to do it? So it's one of those things where you kind of, well, for me personally, I withdraw into myself and then I look back, I look inward to look outward,
Mhm.
and then that way it makes me reflect on, okay, why are you feeling like this? Why are you thinking like this? What is going on? There's usually a bigger picture.
Yeah.
And then when you sit and think about it, you realize it's really not that important. It really is not. And
And
it's the choice you make in that moment, how you're going to move forward.
yeah.
And that's what I like to focus on the most.
That's a great answer. And being self-reflective, introspective. We have a
Yeah,
number of listeners today, and so if anybody has a question or comment for either of us, please feel free to put it in the comments, and we will certainly address them now or after the show. But thank you for listening. I really appreciate the support we've gotten over the last year for our listeners. I think for me, one of the things that slips in sometimes is when I love someone and they're hurting or they're struggling.
right.
And my children particularly bring that out of me. And I always have to remind myself, you are not in charge and you
Mhm.
can't change the circumstance, but you can be kind and supportive in the worry. And instead of worry, pray. So I love that you do the self-reflective to ask yourself, does this really matter? And can I let it go? And is it just a doubt that's not even a true story? That's why I say, like,
Right.
is this a true story or am I just thinking this and making this up? And, somebody told me yesterday, they were saying, I feel like it's clicky and people don't like me. And I go, my ways I stay positive is I think everyone likes me. And I'm sure not
Me
everyone does,
too.
but it's much more fun, right? I know that about you. We're just like, hi, we're here. Okay, good.
And I'm like, you don't like me? That's your problem. You have a problem.
Why
Why?
do that? Yeah, exactly. I'm fun. So I know that about you. I love that because we just show up and we're great connectors and we're not afraid to talk to anyone and to introduce
Right.
ourselves, to connect with people. And I think sometimes people are so timid that that negative doubt can get so loud that it stops
Mhm.
you from fully showing up. So I love your personality.
Thank
Um,
you.
and so when that doubt slips in, you're self-reflective and then you shift and move forward. So I love that. I was going to ask you, what do you do? But you already answered it. So when we think about health, I always say there's at least 7 areas of health. There's probably more, but for me, I try to focus on 7. So I think of physical, emotional, mental, career, relational, spiritual, and financial health. So, is there one of those 7 areas that you're specifically working on? Is the first part of the question. And then, second of all, that you like to help other people with?
I think we all work. Well, personally, I'm working on all 7. To be honest, it's an ongoing process. It's a learning curve, and helping others, I tend to gravitate towards the spiritual side. I do have a group of young ladies that I mentor on their journey through life, and it's basically navigating the corporate world and the world of relationship millennials and what they're dealing with, and fascinating group of people.
Yeah.
Love them to death. And just basically each of the 7 pillars that you mentioned, they're all are apart and interact with they're all connected, interconnected. So it's like you can't work on the one and neglect the other. They kind of like all go hand in hand. But what I try and do is I focus, like I'll be like, today I'm intentional, I'm gonna go for a walk, I'm gonna do this. Today I'm gonna be intentional about my career, learn something new, do something different. Spiritually, I start the day reading the word and just reflecting and being thankful. And then financially, it is what it is. I mean, we all we all want to have more money and do more in life, but you have to work with what you have. It's not how much you make or what you have, it's how you manage what you have. That's what brings me joy. So it's, even though, I've been blessed, I'm not gonna, I've been blessed, and I have a pretty good life, decent life. But do I want more? Obviously I want more. Do I strive to get more? I'm striving to get more. It's just human nature. That is how we are wired.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I do think they're all connected. I started a group on Facebook called the Pineapple People Program, and it's kind of asking people every day to reflect one thing they worked on. Like I like that you said, like one day, because that's for me. I can't do
Hmm.
all 7 every day, though
No.
sometimes I do. I try not, but I'm like, today I'm going to focus on my career. Today I'm going to focus on my mental health. Today I'm going to focus on my spiritual health. And everything we help also focuses on. It improves another area of your life. If you go for a walk, then you're thirsty, you drink more water. And for
Right.
me, when I think of you, Isabel, I think I love that your spiritual health is so important to you and you start your day with that. But I think of you as being such a career helper. I think whenever we're supporting events, we're really helping other people's career be successful. Events turn out right, connect people,
Hmm.
let alone you are mentoring millennials to say, because it's hard to navigate, it's hard to
It
understand.
is.
We've talked about moving here for the first time in a new country and all
Hmm.
the different things you have to navigate that other people take for granted. We take for granted
Right.
what we assume the world knows that they don't know, right? And so
Right.
I was talking to someone about a medical situation the other day, and they were saying, I feel like the doctors are talking to me in foreign language, and
Right.
they just slow down and explain to me basics. And I think you have a gift for going back to the basics and
Hmm.
being aware of what people don't know that others might assume they do know. So I think that's really a gift. I love that you mentor young people. I think that's part of our call is
Thank
as
you.
we become more successful and thrive in our own lives, we have to go back. And I was just at a conference and I didn't get a lot out of it, and it was for me, but I was thinking this year I'm here to give. That sometimes we
Right.
can't just exit when we don't aren't receiving anymore. That's our chance to go back and to reflect and say, okay, what can I give? Who gave to
Right.
me when I first
Mhm.
showed up in this country, at this job, in this world? And instead of, okay, I'm gotten enough, I'm ready to move on, go back and ask, how can I serve and who can I serve? So I think you have a beautiful servant heart, and I love that about you. So, Isabella, tell me, what are you hopeful about personally, and what are you hopeful about in the world or in your career? So, bigger than you, first you, what are you hopeful about? What are you looking forward to? And then beyond you, what are you looking forward to?
Hopefully, I'm hoping that the world stays the way it is, that we don't have another situation. We won't mention the word. And I am just hopeful that people are connecting, because a lot of people have the mental health issue that was brought about by being shut down, everything shut down, and people are still struggling with that. A lot of people don't talk about it, but there's a lot of people that are hurting. There are a lot of people struggling mentally, because it did take a mental and a financial toll on a lot of people. And we all had to go through it, and thank God we survived. And I know we lost a lot of people in the process. So what I'm hopeful for is just people just take this moment, stop, breathe, reflect, and just be thankful for the time that we had in lockdown, because it was a time to be more reflective and to focus on what are we doing, where are we going, what do I want to change about myself? What am I looking to do once everything is back to normal? What am I striving to do? And just reaching out to people, because we kind of like enclosed ourselves in a little cocoon, and it's me, 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 me world. And this gave people a chance to pause and stop and think about the other person. Like, what can I do to help so and so? What can I do to reach out to this person? And
Right.
just the connecting, that human interaction is what a lot of people are thriving for.
Yeah. I that's why I do H3 TV. That's why I invite people, because I know that people watch on their phones. I know people watch on their computers, people watch on their TVs, and I know a lot of people feel alone and isolated, even in an office,
Hmm.
or overwhelmed by life and don't know how to process it. So H3 TV is meant to be this, like, hey, I'm giving you a hug. Hey, I'm
Yeah.
looking at you and you're looking at me, and you're not alone in the world. And whether you're struggling or someone you love is struggling, I'm doing a wellness walk on Thursday on the beach, and it's never walk alone in stigma, silence, and shame. And more than anything, because when people are vulnerable with me and honest, they'll say, oh my gosh, I don't even want to leave the house, or I don't like myself, or I don't like my
Mhm.
job, or I feel like nobody sees me, or all these stories. And I'm like, okay, that's not true. There are people. Please don't be hopeless. Please
Yeah.
look for the good. It exists. And in the midst of our struggles, if we can create a way, which is kind of why H3 TV came to be, a way to serve others, to encourage others on our journey. Well, that for me is like, get over myself. This is, I'm not
Hmm.
saying to other people, but I'm saying when I get stuck in my own head of, oh, this didn't happen, or I've lost this, or instead I go, okay, what can I do to serve another? And it just,
Right.
it shifts. I stop feeling sorry for myself. I'm like, let's get to work. And now I'm working on
Right?
20 things. So now I can't even keep up with myself. But um,
Okay.
so, is there anything confusing about health or happiness? Do you ever feel like there's, sometimes I think health has a lot of myths, like, oh, you have to do this or you can't do
Hmm.
this, and people get overwhelmed and then they just quit. Do you have any myths that you've thought about over your life and that you want to share, and myth bust something?
I don't follow any of the fads, the diets, and all those things that come and go, because that's all they are, myths and fads. So, what I like to do and focus is, if you listen to your body tells you what it needs.
It's
There
true.
are times when you're craving salty foods, sweet things. It's like, give your body what it's asking for, in moderation, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
I can sit and eat a whole packet of chips one day, and then I'll go months without even touching it. But I just believe that if you pay attention to your body, it will work with you, because it is a well-oiled machine and it does take care of you. And I don't believe in starving myself. I mean, there's intermittent fasting, there's times when you need to fast, when you are going through when you're being reflective, and each person is different. But personally, for myself, I am not a fad follower. I just, If my body's craving something, you're gonna get it. And
Yeah.
then we're gonna work out twice as hard because you know you ate what you're not supposed to eat. But I just try and keep a balance on what I eat and on what I do, and exercise in moderation, which of course doesn't happen every day. Doesn't
As
happen
life
this
happens. But I think your
exactly.
myth that you busted, Isabella, is this: our body won't tell us, but our body won't scream at us, but it will always tell us if we slow down and listen. And I know very intuitively, very listening is my body's sleep schedule. Like I go to bed at 9 and I'll wake up at 4 or 5 and I bounce out of bed and I go to work and I love it. But I know when I'm getting quiet. I also know when I
Mhm.
need a nap. I also know when I need more fuel, when I need less fuel, and when I'm wearing and burning at both ends. And my body's saying, listen, it won't scream, but it will. And I love that you said, if you listen, because
Right.
intuitive listening to really saying, you know what, I need potato chips today and I'm not going to beat myself up for them. Or I want chocolate, or you know what, I'm going to take a nap. Or holy
Mhm.
cow, I am dehydrated. I'm going to drink 2 gallons of water because I am
Right.
just cannot get enough. And I've been traveling and I'm worn. So that intuitiveness to listen to your body, to slow down, to reflect and say without judgment, what do
Mhm.
I need for today? Not what other people need, not what people don't need, not what I don't need, but just being open to what do I need for today to be my best version of myself. So I love that myth. What I'm going to ask you, Isabella, now is I know you've shared some great wisdom and insight and inspiration this morning. So if people want to learn more about you, get to know you individually, or the mentoring you do to young women, what's the best place to contact you? Is it email? Is it Facebook, LinkedIn?
Either one, email, Facebook, and I'm also on LinkedIn, and my website, my company website, that's also available. You can send me a message on that one, and that is bellaglobalgroup.com. And you can send a message, and there's a contact phone number on there. You can also reach me on that phone number.
And so, Isabella, what I'll probably have you do is put that in the comments on Facebook,
Okay.
LinkedIn, and YouTube, because it's sometimes hard to get all that, when we're just listening, or maybe
Yeah,
we're in the car listening or on a walk listening. So if you can add that in the comments after the show, that would be great. Do you have
I
any
sure will.
final last stories or thoughts about hope, health, or happiness that you want to share with our audience before we say have a great week to them?
I just say keep hope alive. There is good out in the world. You just have to open your eyes and embrace it and just look at everything. Like I always say, look at life through a child's eyes. Everything is new, everything is exciting. Embrace it. It's a journey. Enjoy the journey. Nothing's going to be perfect. We are all imperfect humans, but we're trying the best that we can. And whatever you are doing great. There's no judgment, and there's nobody looking but you and and God.
Yeah,
So just be true to yourself and just stay hopeful, and do not be afraid to reach out for help, because everybody is in some situation or the other, and we all need to reach out to each other and support each other,
that's right.
especially the women. They try and carry too much by themselves.
Don't tell me that this week, because I'm like, yeah, I can do that, and I can do that, and oh yeah, I think I can do that too. And now
Yeah.
my husband's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm not going to sleep for a while." He's like, "Come on." I'm like, "All right, I'm going to just get up extra early so I can get extra work in." But I love all
And,
those. I think it's about staying hopeful and happy and healthy is really about perspective, as you
mhm,
said, and it's also about looking for the good and being part of the good. If we can't find it, we become part of it. And if you're
exactly.
struggling, please don't struggle alone. Please don't struggle in silence. Please don't feel like you're unworthy or let that self doubt sip in. Because let me
Mhm.
tell you something, you are
No.
worthy. You are amazing.
Yes.
You're incredible. We need you. I need you. Isabella
We
needs
need
you.
you.
The world needs you. And that doubt is a lie. And we
Yeah.
don't believe the lies. We believe the truth that we are created beautiful and amazing, and we are created with a purpose. And each of us has a call on our life. And so, if you don't know what that purpose is, I would just encourage you to discover, do strength finders, do discover who you are, and then figure out how you can use your gifts to serve the world, whether it's yourself, in your home, to your family, your friends, your neighbors, or your career. So thanks so much for being with us at H3 TV.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Isabella, for being my guest
Thanks, Annie.
today. And I hope you all have a hopeful, healthy, and happy week ahead. See you next week.
Thank you.